Hey guys, we're back today with the Whirlwind Barb, talking a little bit about my speed farming setup, a couple changes I've made since my recent video, and also this is going to be a general guide on how to speed farm. So if you're not interested in the Whirlwind Barb stuff, you can skip ahead. Timestamps are in the description. In the last video, someone made a really good comment that I didn't really talk about what difficulty of dungeons I was doing, and that is pretty important for talking about how good a build is. Now, that is true, and I appreciate that comment. However, I'm not really doing nightmare dungeons yet. I'm kind of more focused on speed farming, getting myself to level 100, basically killing mobs as fast as possible. And because most of you, I would say about 99% of people are still leveling right now, to me that just seems like the better thing to do. So when I get to level 100, when I start doing nightmare dungeons, I'll be pushing those tiers. However, I did want to show metrics of how effective this build is. So what I actually did was I last night I did an hour of grinding start to finish, recorded it and saw how much, and I did get 13 million experience in 1 hour, which is pretty damn crazy. Theoretically, I think this could go up to 15 million an hour, but obviously, if you're playing like a whole hour, it's kind of hard to be, playing perfect that whole time. Um, in addition, I did get a insane amount of drops. I wasn't even picking up items, so I could really try to maximize my XP. But I would say I probably got about 50 plus legendaries in that hour, maybe even more than that if I was picking up everything. So it is a very effective build for power or for basically speed clearing, power farming, whatever you need. Let's very quickly just talk about quick changes I've made since for the Whirlwind Barb. First and foremost, it seems that attack speed does not work on Whirlwind for whatever reason. So plus attack speed just isn't that effective. Instead, what I've opted to do is actually move Edge Masters over to my weapon. One thing I wanted to say is that because we're dealing with Edge Masters and we're also playing with Limitless Rage, it's very, very important that whenever you play Whirlwind Barb, you want to make sure you're getting a good channel, like a good snapshot on that Whirlwind. So you always want to be starting your channel with full rage and 60 stacks of Limitless Range. Now that's not always going to be the case because obviously, you don't want to just AFK doing nothing. But if we pop all of our stuff, you can see we actually get resource very, very fast. So a lot of times I'll do this, I'll get my 60, and now I have like a good channel. I'm doing basically max damage on my Whirlwind, which is good. You never want to be starting with like 33 Fury and not a lot of stacks. That's not really good. If that's the case, channel for a bit, but then re-channel your Whirlwind. Otherwise, it's going to feel a little clunky. That's Edge Masters. On the gloves, instead, I went ahead and moved Grasping Whirlwind over to the gloves. This is because Grasping Whirlwind's still great. It's nice quality of life, helps with speed farming. And on the helmet, we're instead going with Numbing Wrath. This way we can go for more of a fortify setup. The reason why Grasping Whirlwind is on the gloves instead of the helmet is you can't put Numbing Wrath on your gloves. And of course, as speed farming goes, we still got our movement speed boots with Wind Striker. And I got a perfect roll of Ghostwalker on the necklace. This gives us 38% increased movement speed while unstoppable. So this is a very, very good roll. I got a couple other gear upgrades, but they're not really relevant. These are just the main changes. Also, because we're running for more of a fortify build, I went ahead and put blue gems, so I have damage reduction while fortified, and that's in all my gear. Going over through some abilities, there's a couple changes I made. Again, because we're playing for more of a fortified build now, we don't need as much tankiness. So I took 3 points out of Guttural Yell, and I also took basically 2 points out of Iron Skin. So with those 5 points, I have 1 in Thick Skin and 3 out of 3 counter offensive. This is good because we're always fortified. So this is 12% increased damage, and that's multiplicative, which is very good. The last point, you can kind of go anywhere. I put it in Invigorating Fury for just a little bit more life regen. But honestly, I think that last point, just play around with it. You can kind of put it wherever. In the Paragon board, we have made just a couple changes. Mainly, the biggest thing is we've added a little bit more investment to get Warbringer. That way, we can always have Fortify up. And again, we're dumping Fury pretty fast, so we always have Fortify. To get those points, I took points out of Craving. It's good because it's damage to elites, but honestly, this just makes you so much tankier. And you can also later in Weapons Master, this is the 6th board that I'm working on, you can get Hunter Killer, which is going to give you that damage to elites, and you can pick up damage to elites as necessary. This also gives you movement speed after killing an elite, which again is even better for speed farming. And in that 6th board, I went ahead and I'm working towards getting Undaunted unlocked. This gives you damage and damage reduction while fortified. So that's great because we're running a fortified build. We can go for Undaunted. Okay, That's pretty much it as far as the changes go. There's nothing really else. Now, how do I speed farm so effectively? First and biggest thing you're gonna need to do is learn how to reset dungeons properly. This is a trick that a lot of people have talked about. But basically, if you start a nightmare dungeon and you get through the first half, so you can see this is the room with like the spikes and the levers and all that stuff. But once you've got to the second part, this is destroy the skeletal construct. You're actually going to be able to set up your dungeon farming very effectively. And the dungeon of choice here. So once we've done that, the dungeon of choice is actually going to be this guy right here, Uldur's Cave. This is probably the best one, especially for Whirlwind Barb. And we're going to go over to the Iron Wolves encampment, and I'll be there in just a second. The reason why I really like Uldur's Cave is that it's very straightforward. It's pretty linear. There's not a lot of backtracking. There's no boss, which is also very nice. And then especially for Whirlwind Barb, because remember, once we start channeling, we don't really want to stop channeling. It's very nice because you're not going to be opening up doors and stuff like that. That's always kind of been like the worst thing is when you have to like open up a door. It does stop your channel. And a lot of the like barrack style things like Demon Wake, Onyx Hold, all of those dungeons have been kind of annoying for me because I'm constantly having to open up doors. Blind Burrows is still pretty good. I don't hate the Spider Caves one. However, one thing I have noticed with the Spider Cave ones is you get kind of like a lot of poison damage taken, which could be a little annoying chugging health potions. So for the most part, I found this one to be the best. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to show you guys just one run of this, kind of like a theoretical, this is like how much XP per hour you could get in one run. And we'll compare that with what I got in a full hour, which I'll show later. But I want to show like a full run because I also felt like in the last video, I wasn't really showing a lot of gameplay. All right, so now that I'm here inside of the dungeon, it is very linear. You're just going to be booking your way north. The first part is a little bit slow, but the second part gets a lot faster. To show the theoretical experience, I'm just going to go ahead and record one clip. Let's take a quick note of how much experience we have here. 15,635,000. Let me make a note. Okay, and we're going to be starting the timer in 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Kind of just working our way through the first part. Again, the first part is not very effective, but the nice thing is these barriers, you can just kind of steamroll through them. It's very simple. Again, kill things pretty much in a couple hits. If you want to pick up gear, it's very effective for picking up gear as well. You can see I picked up the Conduit Shrine. I honestly think the Conduit Shrine might be a DPS loss. And legendaries, those just kind of go to your stash. So as long as you check your stash every couple of runs, you don't even like have to go out of your way to pick them up. But I will pick them up if they're like directly in front of me. Again, I'm making sure that I always start a good channel with full fury, full rage, and I'm just good to go. The lever room is really annoying. It will sometimes slow you down. Sometimes you can get a boss. The boss one is way better because you could just kill the boss in like 3 seconds. The lever room kind of sucks, but it's fine. Again, finish this up, and then the second part is a slay all enemies. So we don't really have to actually kill every enemy. We just kind of want to tag everything and only kill elites. It's just way faster to do it this way. You see, I'm going to just tag everything and just work my way through. I usually just hug one wall so I don't get lost and backtrack. But if you just always stick to like the right, for example, you will eventually, clear the whole dungeon. Again, working my way through. You're never really stopping for... You never want to stop for small stuff. You always want to go for very large packs and then start spinning there. And once you start spinning again, you generally don't want to stop spinning. Sometimes enemies, that you can kind of see, they'll have like 20% of their health left. It's actually fine. They'll just die out to bleeding. And there's a ton of enemies here, so it looks like I'm skipping everything. But it's totally fine once we get to the end of this dungeon. Everything is just going to spawn on us. And we're going to very quickly clear out the rest of this dungeon. Okay, I may have screwed up. I may have screwed up and not tagged those guys, unfortunately. Okay, so that's a bit of a DPS loss. Let's clear these guys out. Alright, and now I think the boss should spawn. There he is. And at the end of the dungeon, this is so simple. You're just going to hit T to teleport, or you can, teleport wherever. Go do whatever you need. You can go to like the Tree of Whispers. And as soon as you do that, You can do whatever you want, but if you want to just go right away, you can just hit the bandit hideout again and reset. Basically, we're going to be loading right back into the dungeon. Good to go. This only took me 3 minutes, and that's, with a mistake. I've had runs that are like 2:30 and stuff like that. So if I look at my experience, I'm sitting at 16,239,000, which is roughly 600K, and we did that in a 3-minute run. So, in 1 hour, we could do 20 runs of this, and that's being pretty liberal because I did make mistakes there. So that comes out to about 12 million an hour. And again, in my full 1 hour run, I was able to hit 13 million. So that is very, very fast. It's pretty damn insane just how quick this can be. You're getting a lot, especially if you like, it's going to slow down if you pick up gear, but you are able to get like a lot of gold, a lot of legendaries. And in general, this is just a really like, I think this is like a really fun power farming route in general. So again, this is just what I've been doing on my path to level 100. Once I'm actually at level 100, I think the videos and the builds will change to be more about nightmare dungeon pushing. But I still love this build, and getting the max speed possible is just a ton of fun. I'll probably keep it for just speed farming, getting as much legendaries as I can, or for like power leveling friends. But again, at level 100, you'll probably see a couple more builds that are reflected on nightmare pushing. Thanks again for watching, guys. Give this a try. You can do this on whatever class you want. The speed farming, it's not just Whirlwind exclusive, but your results might vary. Your experience rates might vary depending on the level of gear that you have. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next video.